Good morning from London. This is Dr. Dermot Hudson, Chairman of the Korean Friendship Association of the UK. And we're doing another clip exposing and taking down anti-DPRK propaganda. And today we're going to sort of deal with something that's often thrown up against KFA, the so-called film, the Mole, which I would point out is not a documentary. It's actually a propaganda film. It's a hit job. Anyway, today I'm pleased to be joined by comrade Sarah from KFA Germany, and our good comrade Paula from KFA Spain, who is the zone delegate for KFA Andalusia. Hello to you.
Hi, Dermot. Thank you for inviting me.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Right. Well, I'd say the subject of the so-called mole, the person who calls himself Ulrich Lassen, and we can't even be sure whether that is the real name of the person, but let's assume it's true. He was the main sort of participant in the criminal film against the DPRK and KFA, and we're not going to sort of look at this film or try to discuss its content. We can actually look at Mr. Larsen, and I first met him actually in the DPRK very briefly in April 2012. And he was so nondescript, so mundane, that I didn't actually remember meeting him. He was one of these people whose face you do not remember. Was quite faceless. The sort of person who would easily blend into the background, an ideal person to be a spy, basically. And the next time I met him was at a KFA international meeting in Belgium, which was held at a town outside Brussels. And I remember meeting him there. And yeah, he came across as a bit strange, a bit nervous. He seemed a bit socially inept. He seemed very worried that I should take his business card. But apart from that, I didn't remember much of him there. Again, he tended to blend into the background. And the other times I met him was in Spain and in Dublin in Ireland. And of course, this meeting that he organised in the Danish capital, Copenhagen. One of the strange things I noticed at the time, which I thought absolutely nothing of, was, when we have the KFA international meetings, as Paula knows, as someone who's, been involved in them, we always have some sort of social activity afterwards. We go to a restaurant or we go to a bar. And everybody talks and socializes, but Ulrich Larsen didn't do that. Curiously, he always said that he had to meet friends of his. He apparently had friends in Dublin. He had friends in Barcelona. I say at the time, I didn't make the mental connection. I just thought it was a bit odd because he was someone who said he was unemployed, but he knew people, he had friends in just about every big European city, you know, and he didn't participate in, you know, the social activities that were organised. He would disappear. You know, I remember in Dublin, he said he was going to go and see a dog race with some of his friends, if you please. You know, so you know, he didn't come with us to the restaurant or the bar. And the only time he ever participated in any kind of KFA social activity was in December 2018, when the KFA International meeting was in the DPRK embassy in Madrid. And afterwards, we had a social in the embassy, which was very kind of the embassy. And that was the only time he ever came. Now, it does seem a curious coincidence that Larsen was actually in the DPRK embassy in Madrid in December 2018, and in February 2019, there was actually a terrorist attack on the DPRK embassy in Madrid, in which the staff were attacked and held hostage. And one of them was able to escape and raise the alarm. And, you know, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole or off on a tangent about this, but it does seem an unusual coincidence that Larsen was in the embassy about 2 months before, and it gets attacked. You know, the question arises, was he actually casing the joint? Was he actually carrying out reconnaissance for the attackers? That is a question that should be asked. But anyway, back to the character of Larsen. He always struck me as a bit creepy and a bit strange. I mean, one KFA International meeting, he made a very strange speech where he got up and he said, "Oh, President Kim Il-sung saved me, an unemployed chef," which I thought the speech was firstly very staged and unnatural, and secondly was trying to make KFA sound like some sort of cult. And the other times I met him was he actually asked us to organise a KFA UK picket of the BBC in London, which he would come to, and I turned around to him. I said, "Well, couldn't you organise a picket in Denmark?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know how. You know, I don't think anyone would come to it." And of course, I didn't realise he was actually, you know, asking us to organise the picket in order that he could use it in his so-called film. And last time I met him was in November in Copenhagen, where he organised the KFA International meeting, but he deliberately set it up so that not many people would attend, that the attendance would be low. And he had his friend, you know, he said this person was a friend of his, you know, to film the meeting. I mean, clearly this person was really either from the film company or possibly from Danish intelligence and the military. And Larsen was very keen for people to go to a South Korean restaurant in the evening. And on the Sunday, when he took us around Copenhagen, it was very interesting, because I got the sense that he had obviously been in the Danish military. He was speaking a lot about the Danish Navy in detail, and he actually took us to the Danish Royal Palace. And he actually seemed to know a lot about the operational procedures for guarding the palace. You know, he was able to tell us that the soldiers on duty were actually conscripts. You know, he seemed to know an awful lot about it. And yeah, he was very obviously pro-Danish monarchy. A member of the Danish royal family drove out of the palace in a car, and his sort of tongue was hanging out, you know, like a feudal peasant. You know, if he'd had hair, if he would be tugging his forelock and bowing. So you know that you know will give you some idea of his character. I used to used to find him very creepy. He used to phone me up a lot. You know, once I found 10 missed calls from him on WhatsApp one morning. He liked to give the impression of a rather weak person, a bit silly, very much under the thumb of his wife, you know, running around picking the children up, you know, as if he was some sort of ideal husband. And that was the persona he gave, you know, to people. And yeah, I mean, with the Danish Navy connection, pictures do exist of him in the Danish Navy and you know, in naval uniform. I mean, my guess that he was someone in the Danish Navy who later went into intelligence. So anyway, that is basically my recollection of the character who called himself the Mole, but we in KFA UK nicknamed him the Rat.
Oh, that's I cannot even start. I don't know what to start with, to be honest. I have a question for you. What excuse did he have for calling you so many times? Because that could be called harassment almost. So why did he call you so many times? I mean, with what excuse?
Well, he said, I can't remember the excuse he gave. He said, you know, that he needed to call me about something important. I can't remember what it was. I think it probably was not something important. I think he was actually aiming to record my voice so it could be used in some malicious way. You know, because nowadays with modern information technology, there's all sorts of things you can do when you record, when you've got a recording of someone's voice. I mean, I've seen various clips on YouTube where they've actually faked old news broadcasts, you know, where, you know, they've actually been altered to make people say something they're not really saying. You know, I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but yeah, I mean, I think it was basically to record my voice, possibly to annoy me, because I'm someone who has to work under a very structured routine, you know, without phone calls, without distractions. So he might have thought it would just annoy me and sort of disrupt my work. But I think the main aim was, I think, just trying to record my voice.
At the beginning, you said something about he feared that you take his card. What kind of card was it?
I'll just explain that. I mean, he had a business card, and it's, you know, basically he was trying to, I mean, this is a bit silly. He was trying to hand me his business card, but I was just reaching in my pocket to get mine, and it seemed to offend him. He said, "Oh, you don't want to take my card?" You know.
What kind of card is it? A business card? What is that?
Well, I mean, you know, I've got my own, which I I will hand to you when we meet. But yeah, I mean, just sort of yeah, I'm not sure how it translates into German, but you know, it's what a lot of people you carry. Might be considered a bit old-fashioned these days, but yeah, he seemed to get a bit uptight that I didn't immediately take the card.
Okay. Paula, do you have a question?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about the Dermot's response regarding the card, because it would be like, oh, you're not taking it because you're somehow suspicious of me or something like that. I mean, this is just a thought that I was having. Well, yeah, I also had another question, because did he ever have any restraints speaking about his background? Because, as you said, normally in the international meetings that we have, we socialize between us. We hang out, we speak, we drink together, whatever. We have fun. So, I mean, we don't know the whole background of everyone, but normally we speak, like, I don't know, I don't mind speaking about my family, about my friends. Did this guy, by any chance, Mr. Larson, talk about his background at any given chance, about his family or anything, or did he just be like secretive about this part of his life, private life?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. He, you know, he appeared to not really socialize too much with, you know, the KFA delegates to the meetings, and he really did not say a lot about his background to us. You know, he made a big thing about, and he actually changed the story. You know, I think he said about he was unemployed, that he was an unemployed chef, you know, and he would say that with a bit of a dramatic flourish. Then another time, you know, he was on a disability pension due to backache or stomach trouble or something. But he didn't really say a lot about himself in the meetings, and like I said, he tended to, you know, virtually most of the times he stayed away from the social activities. I think he told one or two of us, you know, that he was married, that he had children, but you know, beyond that, I couldn't sort of you know, work him out, you know, where, for instance, whether he had a happy marriage or an unhappy marriage, whether his wife was the same age as him or a much younger woman or even an older woman. Yeah, I didn't know those things, you know. Yeah, I mean, he came across as a bit mysterious and enigmatic.
Did Larson's way of speaking change when he spoke to the opposite gender, or also when he talked with non-members of the KFA?
I can't really remember. I think the persona he adopted was like consistent. You know, he always tried to sort of sound naive, you know, a bit uncertain of himself, a bit of a silly voice. But I don't remember him sort of ever changing his manner at all. You know, but once or twice, like out of character, he sounded more intelligent than he was trying to portray himself as. You know, because, you know, like I said, the persona that he adopted was one of a sort of naive person, you know, a bit weak and a bit silly. But once or twice, you know, he actually demonstrated that, you know, he was actually quite an intelligent person. And, you know, this may not be relevant to your question, but one other thing I remember was when we were in Copenhagen, he took the delegates into a Chinese restaurant, which wasn't actually very good and it wasn't particularly cheap. And he made a big thing of asking for an individual receipt. You know, he made, you know, he asked for the receipt. And I sort of looked at him because I thought, oh, you're doing a VAT fiddle, you know. I thought, oh, what a tight-fisted git. And he saw me looking at him and he got nervous. And he said, oh, yes, he said, oh, this is so I can claim the tax back on it. But it was as if he thought I was very suspicious. I mean, clearly, he was taking the receipt for his, you know, the expenses for the whoever was really paying him. That's why he did it. But yeah, getting back to your question, yeah, he didn't really sort of change the voice when he spoke to different people. It was consistent.
And how did he acted when he had to speak in front of many people? Did his character and the way of thinking changed somehow then? Because he was then talking more, maybe his persona changed a bit?
Again, it didn't change. He seemed to be a bit unsure about how he spoke. He didn't look like he was very comfortable doing it. And, you know, what he said, apart from the funny bit where he said he'd been saved, what he said was never memorable. Yeah, I remember now he used to sound a bit hesitant and nervous. So there was a slight change in the persona when he spoke. But the thing was, I mean, his speeches were never good. I mean, there was obviously a lot of other people in KFA who were far better than speaking than he was. You know, he basically looked like a real amateur when he spoke.
This makes me think that maybe this Mr. Larson, if that's his real name, might have had some kind of insecurities in his life, honestly, because the way that you're describing him about his lack of knowledge of how to be a proper spy, but at the same time, I don't know, because I think if I were a spy, I would try to blend as much as possible with the rest of the people. I mean, I wouldn't be like running away the moment a meeting ends and trying to, I don't know if I'm explaining myself, but the thing is that why would someone do something like this? I mean, if he has been between us in the KFA, he has been able to see what the DPRK really is about. And even though he learned this, he still tried to harm the DPRK and the KFA. And it bothers me the fact that I don't know if he did this for fame, for money, because his career was in a downfall or something. I mean, I don't know if it's the insecurities and behind that. I mean, I'm not a psychologist here, but I was just thinking about what reasons could have pushed him to do this, even though that he knew. I mean, he must be an intelligent guy, of course, but I mean, he knew the facts and the truth by the people that he betrayed. But I don't know. This is just a comment over my about the thoughts I'm having right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting point. I mean, my guess is when he used to disappear in the evenings, probably he was attending a debriefing session by his handlers. Or, you know, it's interesting, why, perhaps, better spy would have perhaps tried to blend in more. But there again, different intelligence agencies use different tactics. My assumption is that in fact he was from Danish intelligence, and I don't know how they work. And also, I think his purpose was not actually intelligence gathering, like most spies. It wasn't to sort of gather intelligence. It was actually, to produce material propaganda to use against KFA and the DPRK. So, it may well have suited, his purpose and the purposes of the people who employed him, for him to sort of like disappear in the evenings. I mean, ultimately, I think it sort of boiled down to it boils down to this. I couldn't work him out. He came across as an enigma, a mystery. And one thing that really struck me about him, compared to a lot of other people I met in KFA, I couldn't really tell where he was coming from. People have joined KFA because they've been in, different communist parties, or they've got interested in the culture of the DPRK, or they've seen DPRK films. But with him, I had no idea of why he'd ever joined KFA, what his real interest in the DPRK was. It was like a closed book. He was very, he was actually very much like some sort of cardboard cutout, really.
There was this rumor of Larsen that with his documentary, he tried to avoid showing females in the KFA.
Yeah, very, very much so. I've only watched one or two clips of it. 2 other people in KFA UK watched the whole film, and it, he quite deliberately excluded footage of female members of KFA, because the KFA International meeting in Belgium, we had several female participants, and they were never shown in it. And similarly at the other meetings in Madrid, in Barcelona, Tarragona, they were never shown. And I think it was deliberately done to create a sort of impression that KFA is like 100% male, that it's full of what they call incels, to deliberately create a very sort of negative propaganda stereotype of KFA. And I think the other thing, the clip I saw of the film, where he's actually with, and this is an interesting point, he's actually with Annie Annie Macron, who is supposedly a former MI5 agent in Britain, though many people say that she's never really left MI5, that she still works for MI5, but that's another story. And she interviews him, and he said, oh, KFA is composed solely of unemployed people. That was the other thing. They said, oh, solely of unemployed people. And that is nonsense, because when I went to the KFA international meetings, the only unemployed person I met at those meetings was him. No one else. You know, how did he think people he could afford the money if they were unemployed to travel to KFA international meetings, particularly in expensive places like Dublin and Copenhagen, which aren't cheap cities, are very, very expensive. And yeah, I mean, basically it was about creating a very false and misleading impression of KFA.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was thinking, because the people I know that work, I mean, that are members of the DPRK, most of them work. I mean, I would say that 90% of the people I know of the DPRK are working, myself between them, of course. So it's like there's no connection. Not that being unemployed is a bad thing, because of course things happen, or you want to make some changes in your life, or whatever reasons may be behind it. But I mean, it's not that we are people who don't do anything with our lives. I mean, we're just normal, regular people who, besides having our lives, works, families, whatever, we are also, I mean, that doesn't prevent us from supporting the DPRK, of course. And I ran out of things to ask, to be honest, because I think everything is way clearer now.
My questions also are, I don't have questions anymore, but I want to describe a picture of Larsen and Alejandro. Yes, I want to say something about Larsen and his facial expressions. My opinion and theories about his facial expressions are quite mixed, because when I analyze a few short clips while he was talking, I noticed that he tried to hide a lot of emotion behind his face. When he was talking, he was looking around, or he seemed like he tried to be someone else and hid his true self. He also tries to focus, point to look more serious, but still he is giving silly vibes to me when he talks or try to convince others. He also tried to talk calm and patient, but I could see on his facial expression that he is more a active person who talks a lot and wants a lot of attention while talking. He loves to be in the middle, and he tried to play the shy guy around you all. And I found one footage of him and Alejandro where they give their hands to each other in front of the portraits of the two great leaders of the DPRK. I analyzed Larsen's expressions, and I saw that he tried to be calm. He let his left hand hang on like it's lifeless. Also, his facial expressions seem staged, like you know, when you meet some co-worker or old classmate which you detest, and you try to be like, "Oh, hi, haven't seen you in a while," like he's radiating exactly this kind of vibe in this picture. That's what I wanted to say about this picture. I already sent it in the chat, so you can also try to analyze it, how he's standing there. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. No, it's a very good analyze of the picture indeed. I'm not very good at those kind of things, but it makes total sense when you mention it.
Yeah, because also when he he's standing there, and you can see his shoulders. He's like Dr. Hudson tried to explain that he is nervous. You see he's nervous and he tries to loosen his shoulders, because if you relax, your shoulders are loose, like it's normal. But you see they like tighten up, it's tiered up, and that's when you're in stress. But at the same time, his left arm is hanging around like it's dead. He is in stress in this moment, like he tries to hide something, to hide his stress, and also his face is he looks so fake, like he tried to put on a fake face on. And yeah, I can exactly sense his aura, and no, it's very fake. Yeah.
Yes, very, I think very, very interesting comments. Do either of you have anything to add?
No, I think everything for me it's good and fine. I got my doubts solved, and I have no more questions to add. So thank you so much for throwing some light to this man, because I really didn't know much about him before today, and now it's a lot more clearer the kind of person that he is, and everything that he did, that I honestly wasn't very very informed about it before.
Yeah, also for me, I have no questions or opinions left, so I already said the most things I had in mind about this person. Yeah, and I'm also glad to be here and try to help with the work of the KFA.
Right. Well, thank you very much. Thank both of you. I think it's been very interesting discussion. To conclude, I mean, you know, this this so-called documentary, which of course is not a documentary, it's not factual. It was just really made for the purpose of character assassination of the KFA president, Comrade Alejandro Caldebenos, to try and frame KFA. But, you know, also for the purposes of propaganda against KFA and the DPRK, with the aim of shutting down KFA. And as you know, I was speaking to a long-standing KFA UK member yesterday up in Staffordshire, and he said that basically at the end of the day, Larson failed in his aim to shut down KFA with the film. You know, we are still here, and we're going to be stronger. We're going to recruit more members, and we're going to hold more international meetings and more events. And I, you know, hope to meet both of you at the next KFA international meeting. So I think that's it for today, and wish both of you a good day, and see you again soon. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.